Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a wet Walking with J.Beau. It's raining. It's actually drizzling. It was raining earlier. I'm going to have to wipe off the camera lens once in a while. But that's okay. That's not the first time that has ever happened. I'm sure it won't be the last. So we see some Halloween decorations here. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day. And a lot of people are like, how can you walk when it's raining and it's only 55 degrees? Well, as my mom used to say, you're not made of sugar, you ain't gonna melt. I have to get my walk in today because I took a day off and I need to get my 35 to 40 mile quota. And this is the first real day that we've had consistent rain. There's no immediate heavy downpours in the area. It's just this irritating drizzle stuff, which I have walked in plenty of times. I will get wet by the time I'm done. Don't get me wrong. But it's not a big deal. It's not windy. It's not cold enough for gloves. So we're seeing a shift in the polls, and also in Poly Market, which is not a poll, but it is a bettor's website for betting, obviously. And the interesting thing about it is they are solely catering to people betting their own money. So the majority feel Trump is going to win, and I think a lot of what, well, 2 weeks ago, let's put it this way, 2 weeks ago Kamala was just about tied with Trump on Poly Market. And the only thing that has changed is the vice presidential debate, which helped Trump, and the response by Kamala Harris to Hurricane Helena, I think, has a lot to do with it, her going down. As we look at this scary thing out on the lawn here, because it is Halloween. Pretty cool. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut across here, if I can do so without getting killed. So anyway, so I guess we'll flip this camera around right now. And we do have some drizzle going. I just saw somebody up ahead here almost pull out in front of somebody. And that's because we have a law here that if it's raining, you have to have your windshield wipers on. Or actually the law is, if you have your windshield wipers on, you should have your headlights on. So, person here just almost pulled in front of somebody that you didn't see because the person coming didn't have their headlights on. But there are a lot of people that just don't pay attention anymore. And right now I am getting misted on. It's drizzling. I'll have to wipe the lens once in a while. Hope you're having a nice day. I'm having a nice day. I usually do have a nice day. I'm usually in a good mood. Something does feel off a bit today. I don't know what it is. I know it's the 1-year anniversary of the attack on Israel. I do know that, and from what I was reading earlier, Hamas has really been decimated. And what I mean is their leadership. Their leadership has really taken a beating, solidly. So, it's quite a thing. I don't think they anticipated this kind of response from Israel. They probably felt they could do something like this. And because the international community was kind of like not really defending Israel, and they're still not. So, Trump is doing some things today having to do with that. And I am going to have to stop and adjust my EDC. I will be back in a second. Anyway, I had to adjust my EDC. So we're going to walk on. I'm going to do a basic 5 mile today because it is misting. Well, maybe about 5.5. So, there's somebody that pulled over here to text, which is what you should do if you have to text. So that intersection a while back was the closest I've been to getting hit by a car walking. He still wouldn't have hit me, but he did not see me. He wasn't looking. And I thought I had time to get across, which I did, but just barely. Anyways, I hope your day is wonderful and you're not almost getting hit by cars. So I'm going to catch up on the goings on with Trump today with regard to Israel and the attack on Israel. Sure, Trump will have a good day. We have to keep Israel in our prayers. And the Bible says that Israel is going to be going through what it's going through right now. It'll be part of the tribulation. And that's the way of things, as it is said. Keep an eye on traffic today. Come down off to the side here. All kinds of acorns today. It's actually making walking difficult. These acorns, when they're wet, they're like little ball bearings. I gotta be careful. Keep one eye up ahead. Should be okay on this next part, I hope. So we had Hurricane Helena. People are still missing. Hundreds of them. I was reading an article today. Some of the bodies may never be recovered because of all the mud. They might have been buried alive. Really terrible. And so I'm watching a video clip with David Axelrod. You've heard me mention him a few times. He is one of the strategists for Biden and Obama. I think he's working with the Kamala campaign. And he's thinking that it's going to be difficult for a lot of these people to vote. Which that may be true, but it is not going to stop people from voting. And I honestly think the way Kamala has treated this, and Biden as well, that a lot of these people are probably going to vote for Trump. A lot of people are not happy with Kamala's response or Biden's response. Now, a lot of people are like, well, FEMA has kicked into gear now. Yeah, well, they spent money that they should have had, and they were slow to react to this. And they were. Kamala Harris went to a fundraiser, $250,000 a plate, and well, she went to a donor fundraiser instead. And what do I mean by instead? Because even when she did show up, she showed up in Charlotte, which was over 100 miles away from the actual disaster area. And I do get that they don't want people like the president and vice president in a disaster area right away, because it can hamper rescue efforts because of security concerns. I get that, but no press conference was given. Biden didn't give a press conference until the media started saying, where the hell are these people? They've disappeared. So until it was made known that they should say something, they didn't say anything. They had to be prompted. And that has rubbed the people the wrong way, and I think that's why Kamala has gone down on the Poly Market Betters website. I really think that's what happened there. Because, you know, famous pollster Frank Luntz was like, wow, 2 weeks ago Kamala was way ahead on Poly Market. What happened? So people are reminding him what happened, because he has his head up his kuru like the rest of the media people. Kamala's handling of Helena is what happened. Not showing leadership when it was needed, underestimating what had happened. Trump did the opposite. He knew a hurricane went through there, and he held a press conference about it, showed up with some stuff in Georgia, tanker full of gas, food, diapers, things like that, millions of dollars worth of goods to help. That's all you want people to do, to be acknowledged that there's a problem and we're working on it. And they didn't do that, Kamala and Biden. They didn't. So they probably made more Trump voters in North Carolina than they had before. Anyway, what does this mean? Well, later this week we're going to be talking about Hurricane Milton hitting Florida. It's going to be a bad one, looks like. Should make landfall at about a Category 4. So I am going to head down this way this week. For this walk, I mean. So thank you for walking with me today, keeping me company. Really appreciate that. Today would have been an easy day to say, you know what? It's drizzling, it's 55 degrees. I should just stay at home today, take it easy. But I don't want to do that. I got to take advantage of my walking before winter comes, because I will be taking breaks during the winter, depending, of course, how the winter is. Weather pending. It's always weather pending. If it was downpouring today, I wouldn't be walking. But a little mist like this, I'll survive. So that's what we got going on in the political world right now. Basically, what it's coming down to for this election is border security and the economy. They're trying really hard to make the economy look good, meaning they being the media, to help out Kamala, because it's not doing well. Here's the basic reality on Kamala. She's never managed anything. She's never governed. She has no experience governing anything. She hasn't been mayor. She hasn't even been city council. She hasn't been governor. She hasn't been anything other than a senator and attorney general of California, which is basically an appointed position, even though she ran for it. Somebody endorsed by the Democrats of California are not going to lose. So she was handpicked, and she was not handpicked to be president. That was Biden's decision to put her in the White House with him, and I'm telling you right now, that's going to turn out to be a mistake. Whether she wins or loses, the United States is going to pay for that dearly, as they have already. So I think voters are figuring this out. I don't think she's going to be elected. I really don't. Which is good. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't honestly believe it. Trump is more popular now than he was in 2020 and 2016. He has a past record, and the country has seen what Biden did. Biden is not popular with people. And Kamala was the lowest job performance as vice president before Biden dropped out. So that hasn't changed. That's why you're seeing a lower enthusiasm with Democrats. I just don't think they're going to get the voter turnout. I just don't. So So people are not enthused about Kamala, and it doesn't mean they're going to vote for Trump, because they're not. I'm just saying they're not going to show up and vote. That's what I'm saying. Okay, she's not going anywhere. Made me wait. Well, hell. So, we're going to walk around with the camera on a stick while it's raining. Sure you can hear that. Those look pretty today. I'm sure you would agree, raining or not. Pull this in a little closer. There we go. Oh, there we have it. So we've got 1.5 miles in, according to my ears. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I can't even believe that somebody is even talking about this today, but according to Jack Posobiec, who is associated with OAN News, Secret Service agent, FBI agent actually, FBI agent told an eyewitness of the shooting that Trump was not shot in the ear, that Trump hit his head on the podium on his way down. That's what caused the bleeding. Now, anybody that's watched the shooting, first of all, knows that's a bunch of BS, because the side of his ear that was bleeding came nowhere near the podium. They said Trump hit his head on the podium when Secret Service tackled him. That's what the FBI agent says. The FBI agent is not in the Secret Service. He wasn't on the stage. And he's just somebody that doesn't like Trump, apparently. And if you watch the video, it's easily disproved, because the Secret Service did not tackle Trump. They went on top of him and covered him. Number two, you watch the video of him being shot, he does this, crack. What's the first thing he does? He puts his hand up to his ear and then he drops down. The podium's over here. His ear is on this side. It came nowhere near the podium. So it's just a story somebody's trying to start. And if an FBI agent did say that, he should be reprimanded. That's what he should be. I haven't heard any of the media talking about it besides Jack Posobiec, so that's probably not even a story. Just something I heard on the internet today. And again, if you watch this walking vlog, I don't spread misinformation. I will clearly state that it is rumored, has not been verified, but Jack Posobiec is a trusted source. So some FBI agent probably said something like that. And then you might have Jack Posobiec trying to get some clicks, because he used an article as a link for the New York Post after he made a post saying that. And the article mentions nothing about it, has nothing to do with Trump's ear. So I have no idea why he made that post. Well, it's the kind of stuff that's annoying about social media. Anyway, Republicans are looking good right now in this election. And we're not falling for the Oh, it's gonna be a red wave. Nobody's doing that kind of talk. So nobody's talking that foolishness. There we go. I'm wearing my sweats today. Much more comfortable because I'm wearing leggings. I was telling you about my last walk there. I was wearing thermal leggings like I wear when we go shooting. And they weren't functioning very well with my military fatigue cargo pants with all the pockets. So, take a second to wipe that off. It'll be okay. Camera is waterproof. I'm not waterproof. So it's turning into an interesting election. It looks like Republicans are going to do well for the Senate after a slow start. And it was a slow start there for a while. I was like, what the hell's going on with these polls? Well, it turns out that the polling has improved quite a bit. So I think I'm going to flip this around so I can rest my arms a bit, actually. Carrying this for a few miles like this does get tiring. I could just strap you on my head, but then you don't get the selfie stream, which may or may not make you happy. Got this car here with no window. They didn't put any plastic on it. It's a junker. I think they're just going to fix that up to run it in some kind of enduro race. There's a race here at Oxford Plains Speedway called the Enduro, and the purpose is you just take a regular car and make it structurally safe. I don't know what the exact rules are for that, but basically it's just something that's stock and you drive it until it dies. The last car standing is the last car standing. So So on one of those walks where I had encountered that dead bird, I thought it was a hawk or something. Turns out I identified it online doing a search. I'm actually quite surprised. Remember I said it was big, but not big enough to be a bald eagle, but it kind of looked like an eagle or a hawk or something. And the beak looked like a predator's beak. And the beak was black and dark brown. And so I looked up possible matches for birds in Maine. There was a golden eagle. The golden eagle has a light colored beak with gold highlights in it, which is where it gets its name, and it has white and brown feathers on the tail. This one had all dark feathers with white, kind of like white spines in the feathers. I don't know what you call those. I'm not a bird person. Do you know what I mean? And the feathers themselves are kind of light colored at the base and browned on the ends. So I looked up different species online, and I have determined that it was a bald eagle, but not a grown bald eagle. It was a juvenile bald eagle. Their heads are all brown with feathers. They don't have the white bald-headed look yet, and they don't have the orangish yellow beaks yet because they're juveniles. All of those brown feathers on them are going to molt. It will molt into an adult. So I don't know how the young eagle died. They're a protected species. I hope nobody shot it with bird shot. Somebody might have thought it was a hawk and they shot it. And then it turns out it's an eagle, and they're like, oh my God, that's a felony. I think it's a felony offense. So I didn't see any injuries on the bird, but it could have been just swooping down on the road. I got hit by a vehicle. It could have been, while it was in flight. It could have been it ate a poisoned mouse and ended up getting poisoned itself. It could have been something like that. On the lower part of its back, the feathers look like kind of like ruffled, and you could see white. So that's why I say I hope it wasn't shot. But it may have flown into a power line. It might have landed on a power line and got electrocuted. Typically though, they can land on the power line part as long as they don't touch the ground to connect the circuit. Because, you see pigeons and doves and all kinds of stuff sitting on power lines all the time. The power lines are those ones that run right across the very top. They have those ceramic separators. So anyway, the bird was dead. So I enjoyed watching the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania that Trump had after his event. And I'm sure that's where the news story came from, with the FBI agent saying Trump was not shot in the ear. But the FBI testified in front of the Senate that he was shot in the ear, so. And they said, quote, there was never any doubt of that. But anyway, they didn't like Trump having his big rally back in Butler. Even CNN aired it. I don't think they aired the entire thing, but they aired enough for people to get the gist of it. So Kamala Harris is scheduling a bunch of interviews for this month. They're all going to be softball interviews. They're all going to be on Democrat-friendly shows, late-night talk shows that really most people aren't watching anymore. This one, what's the next one? We'll take the next one. So, she's going to do the late night circuit. She's going to do Colbert. They always do that stuff. And all of a sudden she's doing interviews and she's doing podcast appearances, and she's not doing well on them. She's not. She's really not good at that. So, one thing she could do that would take care of her not being good at that is to have her policies down and have something to talk about. So even if she doesn't articulate herself well, she can just say, this is what we're going to do and this is how. She doesn't even do that. She's not doing that. So she did a show yesterday. She's Your Daddy or something like that, or I'm Your Daddy is the name of the show, something like that. It's supposed to be a pro-women show, and she was on there, and I guess she bombed on that, according to the reviews I saw. Honest reviews, not biased ones. She's just not good at that stuff. So anyway, we got less than a month to the election. Another article I saw is Trump has a whole ton of events scheduled between now and the end of the month, and Kamala's playing catch up. Trump's outworking her. So at least a couple of liberal media outlets acknowledged that and said Kamala needs to pick it up. She doesn't want to work. She really doesn't. She just wants to be a puppet and have the notoriety and have people kiss her ass. She wants to be treated like a queen. And you have to understand that if she gets in there, it's going to be difficult to get rid of her. Maybe she'll do such a horrific job, people would just vote her out in the next election, but we already have that with Biden. And the media is trying to pass her off as a friggin' Republican, which is killing me, just so she can win Pennsylvania. Because like I said before, she doesn't win Pennsylvania, she's done. She really doesn't have a path to win unless she wins North Carolina and something else with it. So it's going to come down to those swing states, absolutely, for sure. So all of a sudden, she's a gun-packing, Trump policy-stealing Republican, saying how she's going to save the middle class and she cares about the working man, after wanting things like sex changes for illegals and prisoners in California. I really don't think independent voters are that stupid. I just don't. And you're starting to see the numbers show that. What she just did for Hurricane Helena was unforgivable. I don't think voters are going to forgive her for it. So I really do think that was her October surprise. Trump just needs to keep campaigning, not say anything too radical. Talk about policies, what's important to people, and he'll be fine. So I don't always walk in the rain, but if it is okay like this, then it's okay. And right down at the end of this road here, you hang a right, and it's not even a quarter mile, but that's where that mass shooting happened in Lewiston here. That made the national media. If you're a new viewer, it's just right down that way. Well, the other thing is if you have not donated to Trump's campaign, now is the time to do it. Going to need everything you can get in the last stretch here. And like Trump always says, if you don't have it, that's fine. Don't feel like you have to if you can't afford it. Like some more of those leaves came off. It's really a pretty color. Right now, northern Maine looks absolutely gorgeous. All the trees are on fire around Presque Isle, which is up in northern Maine. And they're in the peak leaf season right now, which means about a week and a half from now we will be as well. Remember what I told you? I had told you about the Harris signs being placed on public lands and it was illegal. Something would be done about it. Those two Harris signs right there next to their door, they were out on towards the street, and there was one over here, and it looks like they were made to take those off. So I had mentioned that Clement, who was running for office, they said that was going to be enforced. The reason why it's an ordinance is it has to be on private land because it creates a driving hazard, a distraction while driving, because you have signage up and people stop and look at the sign instead of paying attention to driving, which is also why you have billboard laws. Like up ahead here, they have Harris signs, but it's on private land. Over there, they had signs that weren't on their property, it was on city property, and they moved the signs. So it's nice that somebody's doing something about that. Just like here, it's illegal for people to put up a poster like, now nobody seems to mind, you know, like you have a cat that's missing and you're looking for a missing cat. But if you are a local business and you put your poster up on a telephone pole, there's a fine for that. And it's probably similar ordinances across the country in different towns. Everybody has their own rules. Wow, look at that tree in the back. Look how orange that tree is. That is absolutely stunning. So that one is hitting peak foliage early. And these other ones here are going to change too. This one here is starting to change. It's a little late. Starting to get yellowish. So these trees are all going to blow up in pretty colors. So, and you can see they're starting to shape up. They're shaping up. A lot of ducks over there on the lawn. We saw some of them fly there in front of that car. Walking around eating little bugs. Little bugs must be coming out because of the rain. Maybe they're eating worms. I don't know if ducks eat worms. I don't think so. Like I said, I don't know anything about birds. Now this tree over here that I've been telling you looks absolutely gorgeous. Starting to change more. And they have their Trump signs out, like I said they would. So they got their Trump. They got their Trump signage out. Nice looking tree. And they got a Trump flag hanging on their porch. Isn't that cool? Beautiful tree. Good, beautiful Republican people living there. So I told you that would be here, and there it is. That tree looks absolutely beautiful, and it's fully changed, which it will be in about a week. So I think the next nice day we have, I'm going to take a walk on those country roads, and we'll see how the leaf turning is out that way. It's really starting to show up now. Top of that tree over there in the distance. And the thing is when the sun's out, those really shine bright. So we'll pick a nice day, we'll do a nice country walk. I want to catch the absolute best peak leaf peeping. And the best way to do that is, I walk every day, so it'll be easy to keep track. I'll just bring a camera with me, and when it happens, it happens. So last night's walk was at night. Had a very good talk last night on that walk. So if you're watching this, that means I've already uploaded my other one. It's a nighttime walk. You may want to check that one out. We checked out the Halloween decoration progress on this route, which looks really great. Got some stuff on the lawn here that's not inflated, obviously, because it's raining. Just hit 3.5 miles. We got 3.5 miles in the books for this walk. This tree looks nice. I think so anyways. This tree up ahead here usually fills out nice, and so does this one. This one's turning late. It's being stubborn. Got a little bit changing over here. It's going to take its time. This one here is changing. That's going to look pretty too in about a week. So we're starting to get this going now. Head on up this way, cut across here. That tree's turning pretty good too. Look at that. So I'm pretty wet right now. I don't feel cold though, I'm sweating. So basically, the way the polls are right now, if you're going to believe the polls, which I've already stated I don't. I think you can add about 5 points to Trump. I think they're being biased to the left. And but however, the experts that think the polling is accurate also say the same thing I feel, that Kamala has no room to lose any more ground in the negative column. And she's doing that now. So this is all looking very good. And you have to remember, there's a lot of people like, well, they're going to cheat, they're going to cheat. Yeah, some people are going to cheat, but some people are not going to cheat that cheated last time. Election integrity has been beefed up a little bit in Georgia. Wisconsin also, in Milwaukee, they're not going to be able to, or Detroit either, in Michigan. The Supreme Court said they can't block up those windows. Republicans have to have access to be able to watch the counting, make sure nobody's cheating. Laura Trump, for the Trump campaign, and the GOP strategist they're going to have more people watching the polls. She said about 200,000 of them across the country. 200,000, which is the most the Republican Party has ever gotten. They realize they have to do that. They also have more attorneys than they've ever used for elections, ready to go, in case the Democrats try to cheat and try some shenanigans. So, pretty interesting. So it seems like people are on it the best they can be on it legally, you know. I mean, you can't have armed people outside polling places. That's pretty much illegal everywhere. It's voter intimidation, which I can see that as being a problem. So we're going to have to trust the system. That's why I urge you to vote early. Vote early. I'm telling you. The main Republican Party here is encouraging people to vote early, because a work emergency can creep up, a family emergency can creep up, any number of things can creep up where people end up not going to vote, and every vote is going to count this year. So just vote early. Main Republican Party says vote early. Dan Bongino says vote early. Donald Trump says vote early. get your vote in the bank. Because then that negates you having a hassle if they claim a water pipe broke or some other BS, like in Arizona where the machine screwed up. People weren't able to vote. A lot of people, because it was hot, they went home. You have to remember, in November it's still going to be hot in Arizona. So, hotter than what it will be here. People were standing in line for 8 hours. And, you know, these people are old. They might have a cane. And they had to leave. Some of them didn't go back. And that was during the governor election. So I honestly believe that they find a way to cheat in these swing states. And they're going to do that on election day. So I'm telling you, if you live in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, just vote early. Just do it. Just do it. Get your vote in the bank. Especially when you have the Department of Homeland Services run by Mayorkas, who has been impeached for being willfully incompetent. When they have issued a statement that they're fully expecting maybe a terrorist attack between now and November 7th, as well as, even though the election's November 5th, they said till November 7th. Foreign enemies are going to be interfering in our elections. They fully expect hacking. Now, that's a convenient excuse to use when your own government hacks and changes the votes. Well, we're going to blame it on Iran, so we'll have an excuse to go to war with them. So, I mean, you can see how they do things, you know. Now, again, that's just my own opinion. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm not spreading misinformation. I'm just thinking about the possibilities of maybe our government is not honest and they're going to use the election as an excuse to bomb the crap out of Iran. So, these people have done everything else wrong and dishonestly. So I don't see why that would change today, do you? No. I mean, they're telling you since July you can expect a hacking attack on our elections. Oh, look at the chickens. Look at the chickens. They get chickens. And they get a goose. Look at that. Chickens. They're just letting the chickens run around in the yard with the door open. Chickens. Please do not vote for Trump. That is so funny. Please don't vote for Trump. I'm begging you. The sign says. So here we go. So you see this. We got a Demi from Maine here. We got a Trump sign here that wasn't here. That's nice. We got a Demi from Maine over here. Those are Republicans. All right. Very nice. Let's see what else we see. The signs are coming out, folks. The signs are coming out. I gotta wipe the camera. Got a Harris Wall sign up here. I want to see if that Kennedy sign is still around the corner. Yep, that guy still has the Kennedy sign. All right. We'll get today's walk in the books. I am wet. Would have been better if the sun was out today. I got spoiled this year by not having much rain. You can see it's rush hour. There's the spooky stuff during the day. It don't look as spooky. It's good at night though. Ooh, look at those trees. Oh, they're getting bright too. Look at that. It's weird how you have some of them get red and orange. And then you have other ones, like that one there, that get more yellow with some orange. wipe off the camera. Right. Woo. All right, I think today I'll walk straight up this way instead of turning over here. All right. See this Peggy Rotundo signs? I don't even know why she's putting signs. She's running uncontested. She has nobody running against her except the write-in spot on the ballot. All right. The walk will be wrapping up shortly. We just hit 5 miles. So we'll flip this around. you very much for walking with me today. We will definitely talk to you soon on the next walk. Hope you enjoyed watching me get wet. And don't forget, if you don't watch another one of my videos, go vote. Drag some people to vote. Vote early, vote often, but make sure you vote. So thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.